What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about a few different stocks today. We're actually talking about 7 of them. We're going to be going over Root for David Stevens, Coin for Eric.Y3, Bros for PK and Danny, Any for Fat Lips Jr., STI for User TL, MicroStrategy, and SOXL for John Way. And that's it. Some of these are crypto influenced stocks. Some of these are just stocks. But we're going to get into it right now, you guys. All right. So without any further ado, that's the list. That's the order. Let's do this. Looking at this on the weekly, Root looking very bullish, very hot on the RSI. It actually closed, or no, this is a new week. So we still have the whole week to go. You closed last week at a 94 and the week before at a 94. So that's very, very impressive. Very hot, though. You do have bearish divergence forming, but it's not that severe. Like, it really isn't that severe, so I don't think it needs to merit that much of a drop. I mean, that could have been the extent of the drop itself. It does look like you want to go a little bit higher, I would say. Could you go lower first? Sure, but my genuine opinion would be that you do go a little bit higher first. Let's see what we can find. Man, that's I don't know. I don't like taking from I don't mind taking from an all-time high, but when it's like the first week, I don't like that as much. Somewhat of respect, though. I mean, $76, man. You're at 42. You could be making a move up to 76 to 110, somewhere in that range. I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Yes, you can. Okay. I don't know if I like that fib, though. I mean, it looks fine, but I don't know if I like it. Let's see. Top to bottom here of this range. You're at your 2618. Okay. Possible area to reject. You haven't really shown any respect on it at all, though. Like, you just moved up in a straight line, so I don't really like that fib either. Unfortunately, fibs aren't really going to help us, so what we got to do is just look at the weekly RSI for what it is. You are near a resistance point from a previous price area. You're a little bit above it right now, actually. Kind of finding support on the resistance points, actually. If we look at it like this, let's see. Like from here, and I mean, as of late, the last like 3 days now, right there. You go back here, you're literally finding support where you found resistance before, so that could be a good thing. The daily RSI again does have bearish divergence, but it's really not terrible. That would only, I mean, technically you've already fulfilled that divergence, but you could go lower. You're at 42.65, maybe go to $38 and then move up from there. Maybe move up right now, but that is a pretty bearish candle. I will say that is a bearish engulfing candle, but to be fair, you had a very similar candle here, and the last time that you did that, you moved up the following day about 13%. So will that promote the same kind of growth? I don't know, maybe. Let's see. Let's look at the 3 hour. I like the 3 hour, man. I really do. I know that the daily being this hot and has the bearish divergence, the weekly being this hot, I know it can seem like it's a bit exhausted, and it is hot. It's very hot, and it might be getting to a point where it stops soon. But I mean, you went up 17% last week. This week, you could see greater growth than that. I mean, your next area, like realistically speaking, that would make sense in my opinion to find resistance would be all the way up here at about 82.80, and that's right in that range of that 61869. If we took the overall high, if I can get it, if it'll let me, there we go, to the low, your 61869 is right there. I know I've got a lot of white lines here. Let's just ignore these. Nope, that's not the one I meant to delete. And just focus on this one is right in the middle of your golden ratio zone. So, and that's kind of your next point of support, which could in turn turn into resistance. So I know it's crazy, man. You're already at a 95, 94. What is that? 93.7 essentially on your RSI. But you might be making a move. You might be in the middle of a move that's not going to get it's not going to complete until you pump up another 76% or so. I mean, I don't know. If you were to turn around, you would have to do it soon. Because being a little bit above this resistance area and finding resistance and coming back, okay, that's fine. But if you break much past it, like if you end up closing this week green, I think there's no reason why you wouldn't go up to these areas around $76 to $100, $110 even. Very, very hot RSI, very strong volume. Like, it's a nice move. So very constructive looking price action as well. There's just not a lot to go off of. So one way or another, whether you in the short term move down, I mean, you could move as low. You genuinely could move as low as like $23. You're at $42 right now. You could, but inevitably, I think you do have a date with destiny up here. So, is it a good time to buy? I mean, dude, you just hit the 90s in your RSI. Probably not. Watch it go up another 70% without you, though. Like, I wouldn't be buying here. And saying that, I still, just the way that this looks, man, I think you're going higher. And if you go higher, I mean, maybe you go a little bit higher than this high and then you reject. Sure, that could happen. But the way that it looks, I'm convinced that if you go like really to like $52 or more, $53 or more, you're probably golden up until like that $75, $110 area. So kind of a head scratcher, but I want to give it the green light for continuation. I personally would not put my money into this. I think it's great. I think it looks great, and I think it has more to go. It probably, with the way that it looks, with how it formed its bottom and everything, it probably goes above the prices that I'm even talking about given time. But, oh man. No, this wasn't the one that I was thinking of. Okay. But, you know, you never know when you could reject. You are very hot on the weekly. You are very hot on the daily. The 3 hour was very hot. Now it's cooling off. But what's nice about the 3 hour that kind of reaffirms this idea that you move up more in the immediate term is you have these lower lows coming in while promoting higher lows. I love that. That's very bullish, actually. It's very, very bullish. And you're at an area where you found support before. So up in the more immediate term, how high you go, I don't know. But I have a funny feeling $75 to $110, probably $75 to $83 is where you're going. Took a little bit of time on that one. Hopefully it doesn't take as much time on all these other ones, but well, that is a mess. Look at that. Isn't that funny? I had a line up here. This is from my previous analysis, and I probably I don't remember what I said, but looking at it, it seems I probably would have guessed we touch this line and then we come back down to hit this curve, and I doubt we'd actually go that low. It's probably more of a curve like this or something like that, but which would stand to reason that we could go to the previous high points, the resistance points for support. Let's actually see if we've done that. But that's kind of funny. This is definitely from my last video. I didn't just do this like beforehand, and it's cool that we opened up the week and went up there. We opened up the week up here, right like at that line, at these previous resistance points. And now it looks like we're finding a little turbulence. It'd be interesting to see if this week continues to close red, but let's do this real quick. Hold on. High point here, support. Nice. High point here, no support. A little bit above that, actually. So, I mean, if we take the actual high versus the closing point, you technically did find support there. So, 187, maybe 175, somewhere in that area is probably where you're going to go, assuming that you top out relatively soon. You could go a little higher. You opened up the week at 270. You could go up to like 275, 280, something like that, but I doubt you go too much higher. Looking at this weekly RSI, you do have bearish divergence presenting itself. Again, the key term is presenting itself. It is presented. You can see it, but it's not confirmed until you get a red week, right? Even here, you had a red week, and I shouldn't say confirmed. I always say that, but it's not printed. It's not printed. It's presenting itself, but it's not printed until you have a red week. Even printed, though, right? You have it printed here because you had your red week. Wait. Right, red week there. Yeah, because that's your top was the green week. Anyways, printed here does not mean that it's confirmed. Does not mean that you're going to like see a dramatically significant dump. And technically speaking, the divergence formed over here at this high. You were slightly higher, you went down, that in itself, you went lower than where the divergence formed. I feel like that's all you need. So maybe that was a confirmed and fulfilled divergence, and now you've moved up higher. Generally speaking, though, with something like that, I would have expected that you would go lower, but this next week definitely nullified that, man. You engulfed it, and here you are going up higher now, still forming this divergence as it's gone on. This was kind of like a fake out. You might be getting a taste of the real thing now, is all I'm trying to say. So I would expect soon, if not now, you're probably going to go lower. Yeah, you could go higher. You could go higher first, right? 290, something like that, right up there, previous areas of resistance. You could go up there and then come down. But it really wouldn't be crazy if you rejected from here as well. This is kind of a tweezer top, actually. It doesn't look like it traditionally because tweezer tops are kind of like this with wicks, like that, right? These like double tops, tweezer bottoms, whatever, like something like that. But I mean, you opened up here, like it's essentially a tweezer top. Let's look at the daily. Daily RSI does have bearish divergence confirmed, well, printed, I should say. As long as you're holding above 254, I have hope that you can go up, but I doubt you break above 290. So relatively soon, you're probably going to pull back. And again, sticking with what I was saying earlier, you probably go to that like 175 to 187 area over time. You know, if we look at this for what it's worth, you moved up in a pretty short amount of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. On the 9th week, you topped out, and then you went down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, technically 7 weeks. Okay, so a little bit less time, but that's actually a pretty short drop. Here, you dropped in a course of like 5 weeks, but then moved sideways for a while. I kind of would expect something like this, not so much like this, but we'll see. Time will tell. And then here, moved up quick, moved down very slowly. So again, I don't really expect this. I would expect a longer phase of consolidation in the form of like multiple months, probably multiple months. So being that we're in March now, it could be till late May, June, July until Coinbase really starts moving up again. Now that doesn't mean that it's going to be until May, June, or July until you find your low. You could find your low sometime in April. You could find it in May. You know, I'd say between April and May is probably when you're going to find it, but you're probably going to consolidate for that amount of time. That doesn't mean you're just going to move down that amount of time. Though it does look like you like to find your lows kind of last minute. You make your initial move down, but you find your lows kind of later in the consolidation phase before you're ready to move up. You have a little like fake move down and then up, but that's all stuff that's like months away that I'm talking about. The more immediate term, I'm thinking you do come down. As confusing as any of that might have been, I do think you come down. RSI is looking a bit top heavy. It definitely is looking top heavy. I mean, where that divergence formed, that should take you to 227. And with that kind of a movement breaking below your 1618, where you're basically at right now, I would think that, yeah, you're going to go to that 187 to 175 area, if I remember correctly. So it's a really strong looking chart, man. But I think you're at an area where it would make sense to kind of find some resistance. Let's see. Top to bottom, 886 hit as well. Yeah, it makes sense to me, man. I think you're going down. Coinbase, that's that. Bros for PK and Danny. Let's see, Bros. I think you said Dutch Bros, right? I think you guys said Dutch Bros. This is the one. I don't remember. I feel like you did tell me the stock name, but I went through so many comments, man. It's really hard, you guys. It's like, I kid you not, it takes like, depending on the day, it takes probably over an hour to go through everybody's comments. Because I respond to them. Sometimes it's just like a 1-word response or a 3-word response. Sometimes it's more in depth than that, but it takes me like an hour to go through all the comments, man, and I really do try to move through it fast. So to go through and find if this is the right one, I don't know. But you said Bros. I remember you said the name. I'm assuming this is it. So anyways, enough of that. Let's get into this. Interesting chart. It's a very interesting chart. It looks like incomplete. Like I feel like I'm missing a history here, but nice kind of phase of accumulation. Volume starting to come in. You're looking good and productive. You're looking like you want to potentially break out of this little range you've been in. Now, just because you break out of this high here that you've been in really since March of 2023 doesn't mean that you're off to the races yet. You still got to break above this high. You still got to break above that high. And that high is probably less significant. It is the highest high out of all of them, but it's probably less significant. I mean, just look, it's like a standalone, right? You do have this support. Okay, you've got a little support back there. Maybe it is significant. Maybe it is significant. I don't know. But first and foremost, let's pay attention to this $33.30 high, and then we'll look at the $38.90 area for higher. So probably what I'm trying to get at, if you close above this on a weekly, you're probably moving up here. That's my expectation. And I would doubt that you would just do this. I would doubt that it could happen. But I doubt that. I think what you would do is you'd move up to here, and then you'd kind of consolidate, and then you'd move higher, something like that. I really like your weekly RSI. The weekly RSI looks really nice, I gotta say. Let's see, let's look at the daily. Oh yeah, man. Daily RSI looks nice. I don't mind the volume. Yes, you have lower volume here than you did here on this big spike, but relatively speaking, since the 29th of February, you're actually growing in volume. So as you're growing, I think it's fine, and it's above average volume. I like the daily RSI a lot. You bounced right off your. Well, it's not the 60. Still though, it's above it. It looks fine. Yeah, you could move down first, like down to here. You're at 31.81. Maybe you move down a whole dollar, and then you move up. You could be in this kind of like channel, but I think once you close above 33.30, like at this area, you're going to see a nice pop up, right? You're steadily moving up right now, day by day, week by week. But once you close above $33.30, you're going to see a nice pop. You're probably going to see a nice pop, and again, that pop would take you, I think, up to around. Am I looking at this right? Oh yeah, it was over here. Sorry, all the way up to like $39. So looking good. It's looking pretty damn good actually. You might be moving up to $39, $40, something like that, really soon. Really soon. Potentially by April, if not by the end of April. That's my thoughts. So that's bros. Any. Let's talk about any. This is the one that I was thinking about earlier. Fat Lips Jr. was saying that these guys hold more Bitcoin than their market cap is worth. Are they a miner? I want to look at this real quick because if they are a miner, I didn't put it in the miner video. Let's see. Sphere, right? 3D. Let's see. Bit digital. Yeah, it's definitely something to do with cryptocurrency. Miner, it is. Okay. Wow. So it is a miner. Should have put it in with the mining stocks. My bad. I didn't know. This is a new one to me. If what you're saying is true, and I don't know because I'm just taking your word for it, I haven't looked into it, but if what you're saying is true, Fat Lips Jr., if they have more Bitcoin than their market cap value, then yeah, if there's shorts opened on this thing or anything like that, you might see some phenomenal movements up. $25 million market cap, definitely a low cap stock. I'm not a fan of the chart, but hey, it's a relatively new chart for a stock, 2014, whatever. But I'm not a fan of it, to be fair. I don't like things that just go down. That's not encouraging. That doesn't lead me to believe that you're going to, maybe you do go above this high, but I'm not in the camp that you're going to go to new all-time highs. I mean, you're at $1.74. You're not going to go to new all-time highs. That would be ridiculous. I very much doubt it. I mean, okay, hold on. You're at 24 million. You're at a $24 million market cap. So, I mean, 1,000x, a 10x would be 242. I mean, I suppose you could see 1,000x with something like this. If it was to do well, you could. But I don't know. I don't know the logistics. It's at a low enough market cap where you could, but I'm not so certain of this thing. I don't know too much about it. I'm not doubting it or anything like that. I don't know enough about it to make those kind of decisions. But sure, being at 24 million, if you were to see a $24 billion market cap, that is a 1,000x. So, and 24 billion in the world of crypto miners is a very achievable market cap to have. So it could see even greater than that, even at these prices now, even after this pump here, 431% in a month. You've pulled back a little bit, to be fair, but anyways, if what you're saying is true, if they do have more Bitcoin value than their market cap is, you could see a nice pump, but maybe not. I don't know. Let's look at the weekly. It does look like you're finding support. I think I said this in my last video. You're probably just going to move sideways, probably. But if you go below here, then I would think you're going to go down to about $1.21 to $1. That's about right. That sounds about right. I don't like the way that you've rejected your 236 here and you're closing below your 382. You have this week to make amends for that and close above this 382 if you can't, or if you really get below these lows here in this price action. I think it's on to $1.21 and $1.05. Even if you hold more Bitcoin than your market cap value, this is just what it's. That's not a good look, man. I really don't like that on the daily. So please be toying with our hearts and move up from here instead. I don't like the rejections off the 236. From what I know and what I believe in TA, everything about this chart, the daily RSI, everything about it is screaming that it at least wants to go to the 0.5, which is at $1.52. but I don't look for that normally. I would look for the 61869, which is your last kind of low area here. Low area is here. You know, I'm looking for $1.21 to $1.05 personally. So that's just my opinion on that. But yeah, it could do well. There's a lot of room for growth, but it's at 21 million in market cap value. You know, that's pretty low. If you were to see a 1000x in this thing, which I'm not personally betting on, but if you were to see that, $100 could turn into $100,000. So you don't need to bet the farm. You want to put $100. You want to just risk it, roll the dice on something that may or may not get there. This is perfect. But if you want to bet the farm on it, it's probably not a good idea. Don't be throwing crazy money at this thing. Something like this, and I know it might not make sense, but this is how I am. This is how I've handled my investments, and it keeps you from getting in trouble financially. Sure, on the times that it hits, it keeps you from making even more gains. But if you're in something that's making 1000x or hundreds of x's, you're going to be making crazy gains even if you just put $100 in. Maybe on 100x, $100 isn't like too crazy. It's crazy gains, but it's not like a crazy amount of money. But I'm getting away from the picture. What I'm trying to say is how I like to do this is I would put $100 in here if it proves itself. If it proves itself and you see some kind of phenomenal price movement up and then you pull back, okay, then and at key places, right? Not just like in the middle of nowhere, but at key places. I would rather put $100 in down here, watch it go all the way up to here, and then pull back, and then put like $1,000 in there, and then it goes up even more, right? Like this, and then I'd put $10,000 in up here, something like that. Like that's how I would rather do it. I know it's kind of like reverse of how some people might do it, but that keeps you from losing your ass. If you put $100 in here, it moves up and then it shits out, you know. Then before you ever put like 4 figures in, 5 figures in, more than that, you're not putting it in something that could just continue to go down as it's done throughout its whole life. So just a little personal opinion, not financial advice, but that's how I do things. I know it might seem weird, but it's like, yes, I would rather put more money in at higher prices. I would rather you prove yourself to me before I go ahead and put serious money into this thing. Until then, right now, $24 million market cap, it's low. It's got a lot of potential for growth. So with that, you don't need to put a lot in there to watch it grow. Thought I had something in my eye. This camera's weird. It like looked like I had like a bump there. But anyways, that's any. Let's talk about STI. Very phenomenal move. 125% pump in a day. It's too new. Way too new. It could do this. It could do this. It could do this. I don't know. I don't know. There's really no way to know. It's too new to do technical analysis on, unfortunately. I can't give you a genuine opinion. I can do my best, but top to bottom, hit your 61869 area, okay. Below your 0.5, you probably pull back to $1.24, probably. You're at $1.75 now, probably pull back to $1.24. You could pull all the way back to 78 cents. You could pull back to prices that are lower than 37 cents even. It's too new to really know. I don't mind the 3-hour RSI. It doesn't look bad, but it could in a short amount of time. The 1 hour looks fine as well. So I'm sticking with it. You probably pull back to $1.24, and then we'll see if you can break above that 618 or not. But it's too new, man. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't be buying here after 125% move in a day. But maybe if it drops, you know, a nice little bit down from here, it could happen tomorrow. It looks like it's moving fast. Maybe it drops another 30% or so, and then it'll move up. But you kind of have to prove yourself to me on this too, because it's way too new. Get a day to close above $2.61. If you can do that, okay, then we're looking at $4.44, $6.08, $20 maybe, you know. But let's see how you're doing with that. But before we get there, 124, 78 cents. Both of those numbers are on the table. Even lower numbers are on the table. So it's very common to see a rejection off of here, and then you go down. You know, whenever you see a really harsh rejection off your 618, you get a move up like this, you get a harsh rejection, which right now, it's not that harsh. From a percentage standpoint, it kind of is. Top to bottom here, you dropped 43% in a day, but I wouldn't say it's harsh yet. a harsh rejection would be like if you went down and you closed below your 236. If you do that, that kind of merits a look that you would see an extension from this move up to down. So, and I mean, even if you close below the 382, that would not look good. So don't close below your 382. You want to hold that level there. Hold $1.24. If you can't even do that, if you hold this area, great, fine, that's okay. It's not as normal, but it happens. You can hold that 0.5 area, that's fine. But that's just my genuine opinion. So prove yourself. Don't close below this line. Definitely don't close below this line, because if you do this, it's going to look like you're going to go lower. If you do this, it's not going to look like you're going lower. I would say it's a strong probability that you're going to go lower. So just based off of the dynamics of Fibonacci ratios. Anyways, that's STI. Too new to really give like a genuine input on it, but those are key areas to watch for what it's worth. STI. I think it will move down 30% or more from here first, and then we can talk about it moving up, maybe. MSTR, man, this one should have gotten its own video, honestly. MicroStrategy, John Way, this is a great one. You guys, I know it's only up 4% today, like this week so far, right? But I mean, you're at $1,484, right? You're already past last cycle's highs, and you're really close, man. You're really close to your all-time highs, like graphically speaking, you know, on this chart and everything. Let's see, top to bottom here. I was talking to my grandpa about this one. Papa, if you're watching this one, man, I think it's going here, you guys. I think it is going here. Now, it could pull back in the meantime. It really could pull back in the meantime, rather substantially too. You know, from its high, it could pull back to the 886, which that's a 40% drop. It could pull back to its 786, which is where you had previous resistance before, find it as support, and also it's the 786. It's common enough to do that after you're in these areas. That could be like a 50% drop, you know, so it's hard to say. A 40 to 50% drop is absolutely on the table right now, but if that happens first, you're inevitably going to go to this area. If it doesn't happen first, you're inevitably going to go to this area as well. So it's kind of hard to say. Let's look at the weekly. Weekly is hot, super hot, bro. Super freaking hot. You're all the way at, I mean, you could go higher. You could definitely go higher. If we're looking at this for what it's worth, you're kind of at the top of this range. So I think I feel pretty comfortable saying you probably top out this week momentarily, but not like permanently, right? Like here you topped out right here, okay? It was right there on the RSI. You actually moved up a whole nother month after that, and then when you moved down, it only took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and then you were back at it again. So maybe you top out in the RSI this week. Maybe you continue to move up for another month, more or less, and then 2 months later you find your next higher low. I don't know. I'm just drawing conclusions off of that, you know, let alone this one. It's all different. I'm not saying it's going to look exactly like that, but what I am trying to say is I do think you have higher to go. Whether you go lower in the immediate term or not, you know, I do think you have higher to go. I like this daily RSI. This tells me that you want to go higher immediately, in my opinion. Yes, you have bearish divergence. Yes, you do. It's on there, but it's not printed. It's not completely like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not printed. High here, higher high here. Yes, it's a red day, but if you see it's plus 4% up here, it's plus 4% because it gapped up. So you do have bearish divergence, but what you really did was you were down at your like 60 area in the RSI, bounced out of it, got overbought, significant volumes coming in. I think you want to go higher, man. I do. You might be making a run to $1,800 before you, I mean, maybe past 2K, maybe literally you go to $2,400, because I think that 2,886 is right at your 1,272. Yeah, it's right there. I mean, you could be making a move up to $2,400, guys. It looks very good. I'm sure soon enough, time-wise, you are probably going to top out, time-wise, you know. But from a price point, you might be a whole $1,000 away from that. And that could happen in a week. It could happen in a month. A month is a very short amount of time. Sure, you're close time-wise, but price-wise, and when I say top out, I don't mean permanently. You have a whole bull cycle to go, right? MicroStrategy last cycle topped out in February of 2021. that was 8 months before Bitcoin found its high, and even 8 months later in November, you were still relatively near these areas. So you've got a whole cycle to go, man. You've got a whole cycle to go. So even once it hits these prices up here at like 24, 2,500, and then pulls back, you've probably still got higher prices to go. So all that to say, I think you are in the middle of more upside. The daily looks good to me. The weekly is getting hot, but you've got more room to go for sure. The 3 hour looks good. Like it all looks good to me, man. Maybe you pull back for now. You're at 1483. Maybe you pull back down to like 1300, 1350, something like that, and then you move up. But that could happen tomorrow. You could open up down here and then move up from there. I don't know. But that's MicroStrategy. To me, it looks good. It looks very, very unstoppable. Getting there to where it's probably going to stop at some point soon, but that's MicroStrategy. Let's finish this bad boy up with SOXL, Direxion, Daily, whatever's, Semiconductor Bull, 3x shares. Oh, nice. It's like leverage trading, but without the risk of liquidation, right? But you could definitely lose money just as fast as you make it with a 3x ETF. Is that what this is? I don't know. I think it's an ETF. I don't know. Top to bottom, 886, hit, pulling back, looking steady. I like the weekly RSI. I don't mind the price action. Let's look at the daily. I like the daily too, man. I really do. Yeah, maybe you pull back a little more. You're at 46.77. Maybe you pull back to 43, 43.40. Maybe you pull all the way back down to like $39. You know, you might have a little lower to go, sure, but I think you're wanting to move up higher. You're looking like you want to go for new all-time highs, like really. Which makes sense because there's a lot of semiconductor companies that look like they want to see new all-time highs and that already are at new all-time highs as well. So yeah, man, I like the respect you're showing on this thing. I really do. Get above that 886, close any given week above $55.84, and then I'm convinced you're going to see 145 in a short amount of time. You're probably already going to see it in a relatively short amount of time. Top to bottom here, 1886 with your 886. That's beautiful, man. Yeah. You're going to go a little bit lower, just a little bit lower, and then higher. I think so. I think you're in the middle of something great, definitely something great. So that's all I got. If you guys like the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more. I got nothing else to add. Yeah. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. Hit that like button.